In the latest UPSC result 2025, top 10 out of top 10 are from various courses of Vajiram and Ravi, with All India Rank 1 Anuj Agnihotri and many more. For over a decade, the All India Rank 1 has emerged from this very ecosystem. A journey powered by 50 plus years of legacy. Join the GS Foundation program. Inquire now.
Hello everyone, my name is Shri R. I am this year R18 in UPSC CSE. I am from Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu. I have completed my EC graduation and my optional is Sociology. This is my third attempt, my first mains and first interview. The last two prelims I couldn't qualify, so I tried analyzing it. The different this prelims was reading the holy book, the PYQs. I focused mainly on the PYQs, not just reading it, but also analyzing each question and each option, and also the static part of the option as well as the question, as well as the current affairs related to it. So we'll try to move subject wise, what are the things that needs to be done in hierarchy. So if you're going for this year prelims, the first that you need to focus would be polity. So approximately you'll get 10 to 15 questions in polity. So first hierarchy would be for polity, and second would be economics, and third would be for geography, fourth history, 5 environment, 6 science and tech, and the last would be current affairs. I have a reason why I told in this hierarchy and I'll explain it. So first, why are we focusing on polity? There is large number of questions and they are mostly static. You can address around 13 questions. Even so, you don't know 2 or 3 questions. The rest of the questions will be from the PYQ. So it is very easy to it. And for the economics, you'll have the application part. So whatever you have read, you'll just apply it. And for the geography, you'll focus only on the NCERTs and it's highly returning. So third would be geography. And fourth, history, because in recent trends, the history questions has been increasing and they're also focusing on the medieval part by asking a very basic question. So I focus on history. And why 5 and 6 environment and science and tech? Because they are mostly current affair oriented and they are dynamic. We do have a strategy on how to focus on it, but we keep it a lit backer. And the last would be current affairs. When doing your preparation, you need to focus most on the static part, not on the current affairs. Most of the things that you think come in the exam as current affairs is from the static, they ask a question. So focusing on the static will be more important and more beneficial rather than focusing more time on the current affairs. So if you have a day, you study around 8 hours, you need to devote some time for your preparation for the current affairs. Might be 2 hours, not more than that. For the rest of the time, do the static part so you have a strong foundational base. Even though they are asking something in the current, you will be able to answer it with your static knowledge. So the resources that I used for polity, I used Lakshmikant, and for the economics, I used class notes as well as the Introduction to Macroeconomics, the NCERT. So I did my GS coaching in Vajiram. From that, I had my class notes that I used. And for the geography, I used only the NCERTs, the 2 NCERTs, Fundamentals of Physical Geography and the Indian Geography NCERT. And fourth, for the history, the ancient and the medieval, I used only the old NCERTs. For the modern history, I used the Sonali Bansal book. And fifth, for the environment, I used the Vajiram yellow notes. And for science and tech, I had my notes and I took it from the Karma Yogi IAS. And for the current affairs, Buddha Jain sir notes, he had the 1 year compilation, I did. So when I'm saying about the resources, people tend to have one focused resource for one subject. So some resources that I used were different. For example, for history, I did not use Spectrum, so I used some other book. So please don't follow 2 or more books for one subject. Instead, go for one book and try reading it multiple times so that you'll have a clarity rather than going for a different book each time. That will help you in a longer run. And for the PYQ strategy that I did, I used a YouTube channel called the Counter Coaching Crusader. So I took 10 years of PYQs as the question paper, and whatever was written in the videos, I used to completely fill all that in the question paper itself, and I was keep on revising that. And the second thing that I did was there is a YouTube initiative of the Tamil Nadu government, the All India Civil Service Coaching Center. So that is a YouTube channel, AICSCCPM. In that, they have open resource of the test series as well as they analyze the PYQs. Not just of UPSC CSE, but also of CDS and CAPF. So what I used to do, I used to take notes from that also of whatever topic is getting repeated. And the third resource that I used was Prelims PYQ video that was in the UPSC and Beyond channel by Subham sir. So from that also I got some techniques, some repetitive patterns. So after taking all these PYQ reference, what we will start doing is going for the revision. So when you approach each subject, I used to have short notes for all the 7 things that I've listed. So for polity, I used to have 20 pages. So in that, the repetitive topics along with the PYQs. So each time I study a topic, I revise it along with the PYQ and then I move to the next subject. So this was what I was doing. And in the last 2 months, I stopped going for a new resource and I started to consolidate. When I started to revise, I would put more time in the hierarchy that I've set. So polity will have 3-4 days. So, and in the end, science and tech will have 1 day alone. So it is more of dynamics. So I don't put too much time in topics that are getting dynamic. And how to utilize the PYQs? In the last week before the exams, I used to keep the 10 years PYQ that I've written notes and I would keep on revising it. One thing that will happen is you'll understand the patterns that the PYQs is having. So you will know what is the topic that needs to be focused in each subject. And the second thing, we do write test series, but they have their own kind of wordings and other things. Once if you see the PYQs, it is having the original wordings. So once you're getting repeatedly exposed to the words that the UPSC use, in the examination hall, you will find the same terms and same wordings. So it will be easy for you to understand what is the question and how to answer it. That's the reason why in the end of the week, we focus on the revision of the PYQs more. And when it comes to the examination, so now we have received the question paper. When it comes, I did for GS 3 rounds. In the first rounds, you will have 4 types of question. One, you will know it for sure shot. And second, there are 2 options and within which you need to eliminate. That is 50-50. And third, there are 3 options and you will find an answer. And fourth, you have no idea about the question. So what I used to do, in the first round, whichever I'm sure shot, I'll try to mark it in the question paper itself. And the questions which I don't know, I'll just omit them. So might be 10 or 15 questions that you might not know or have no idea what they're asking. So I never touch those questions. I leave them or I'll set them aside. In the first round, I'll do questions which I was sure shot. So the next round depends on what you do in this round. So if you're sure about around 30 or 40 plus questions, then you need to take little risk in the second round and the third round. But in case if you are having only lesser number like 30 or 25 to 30 questions you know for sure, then it means we need to take a little risk in the next round where you'll go for questions where 2 or 3 options you know and you need to find the answer. So at that time, the second and the third round, you'll focus more on solving that. This was my strategy for the GS. And before going for this GS, I had my notes, which I revised like little notes. For each topic, I had around 10 pages, just the important points that needs to be revised before the prelims. So I just revised them twice or thrice and then I went for the paper. And coming to the CSAT, I had an engineering background. So CSAT, I did not do much. I just relied on the PYQs. For those who did not have an engineering background, they can go a little more focused on the CSAT. For CSAT, I followed Amit sir's videos that was available in the Telegram. From that I did. And then I did only solve the PYQs. When solving the PYQs, for each topic, there is a pattern. So there is a specific, let's say, number system. So in number system, when a question comes, each year there is a pattern. The same pattern repeats, but not the question. So you need to identify what is the pattern and then solve it. For example, when 6 numbers come, it might be divisible by 7, 11 and 13. So the same pattern every year they ask, but in a different way. So we need to identify it. When it comes to CSAT, there are 3 divisions: the reading comprehension, the max part and the logical reasoning. When it comes to the reading comprehension, you shouldn't depend just on one thing. All out of the 3, don't depend on one thing and go attend it. It might not be beneficial. So 1 year they'll make the reading comprehension difficult. The next year the maths might be difficult. So we should prepare all 3 equally. And first the reading comprehension. When it comes to reading comprehension, there are different types of question. So what you need to do, which is easier, that you need to choose first. Once you start the CSAT paper, try flipping it and 10 or 20 questions which you find easy or you will find that immediately you can find the answer. Try solving it. Once if you solve those 10 or 20 questions immediately within that half an hour, you'll have an edge. You'll find it satisfying and easy for you to go for the next thing. And don't get stuck in one question. If you can't do it, if you can do it, just take only 1 or 2 minutes. Even if you can solve the answer, 5 minutes is not going to get beneficial. Every question is having the same marks. So don't overdo one questions and try leaving the next question. So as I've said, we'll try to solve the easy questions first. And in reading comprehension, there are different types. So one, they'll ask, what is the topic saying? And in the next, there will be assumptions. Assumption type of question will be a bit difficult once you have analyzed the PYQs. So I would not focus on assumption. Rather, I would go for the interface, what is the topic saying? What is the meaning of the topic? So those kind of easy questions I'll do in the reading comprehension side. And for the maths, I'll focus on easy questions first and the difficult one later. And for the logical reasoning, also I'll focus on the easy topics first. And this was the strategy that I followed for the CSAT. And it is very important that you keep your calm in the CSAT paper. Every time the half an hour the bell rings, you shouldn't get anxious and try not to get too anxious when you're solving the problem. So this will help in doing the CSAT. The whole day, you should keep yourself fresh. So the before day, without any stress, you need to sleep well. And the next day, with calm mind, you go attend it. And the prelims, you'll get passed. For the CSAT, while solving the 10 last years, I used a YouTube channel, the Ungist, where he used to solve each question. And if some pattern I found it easy, I used to do. And one important thing when you do for the prelims is using pen. So each question you read, try to point it using pen. So you'll have a laser focus towards the question. And whatever you find it important, try circling it, marking it. So once that you'll have your whole concentration when you do the paper. And active recalling during our preparation, the 4 hours will help here a lot. So once you see a word, you'll be able to recall what you did. So revision and recall will help here. So this was my first interview and I had the fear that everyone used to have, that I was not prepared very well, that I did not have sufficient notes, that I did not have sufficient answer writing practice. And the time was very limited. We were left only with 75 days within which everything needs to be done. So before having the 2 attempts which I failed, what I did for the mains was I was already trying to prepare it. I had an approach where I was trying to get at least bare minimum ready before I came for this mains. So what I did, I focused on the toppers copy. From the toppers copy, what I used to do is from their notes and the copies, for each important topic, I used to pick very good keywords that were needed for each subject. For example, let's take polity. When it comes to polity, there are certain words that are needed to be specified in polity, like constitutional morality. So that I used to pick up. So the keywords were mandatory for GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4, everything. So I used to pick those keywords. Then I had the topper copies. Then I analyzed the PYQs. When analyzing the PYQ, what happens is you will know which needs to be prioritized. Let's take history. So you will know art and culture. But when you see the PYQs, you will know which topic in art and culture needs to be read, detailed, rather than without an idea going for every topic that you wanted to follow. So analyzing the PYQs and understanding them is very important. When in analyzing the PYQs of the mains, what helped me was the open initiative of the Tamil Nadu government, AICSEC YouTube channel, where every topic was analyzed in the question, the answers, everything was analyzed. So I was in the Naan Mudhalvan scheme, they analyzed the topics. And each topic, they try to explain the trends, the important topics that needs to be studied. That all I follow. So let's go break into each subject that needs to be done. When you're going for the preparation of mains, there is a hierarchy. That the importance needs to be the least to the most. So the most importance is given to the optional. Having 500 marks, it is mandatory, it's non-negotiable that you complete it beforehand or you try doing it maximum so that you are mains ready. So first would be the optional and second would be GS4 and essay. So GS4 and essay is highly yielding marks and it is very easy for you to score marks. And essay is also where you can put more of your creativity. They are not much of static. So second would be GS4 and essay. And after that, the third would be going for GS2. Why GS2 is because GS2 is highly mark yielding. You can get approximately around 100 to 120 if you work on GS2. However you work in GS3, it is less than 100. So based on the marks and the outcome that we'll have, we are trying to prioritize the subjects. And the third, after that, after the GS2, you'll go for GS1, and the last would be GS3. Why GS3 is in the last? You have 5 big subjects, and all those are dynamic, and the marks are very less. So based on that, I prioritized how it needs to be done. So the first, after completing your optional, would be going for ethics. For ethics, the source which I followed was the Forum IAS Red Book. I had it as the one book that I referred. And other than that, what I did was, there were a lot of Telegram channels there were in UPSC and beyond. There was a 30-day enrichment course of ethics. So that I relied. And also in Karma Yogi IAS, they used to give some examples and other things that I used to do. And in the Naan Mudhalvan scheme, they take classes for us. So in that class, they used to give some example and analysis that I used to do. Other than that, what I did unique for the ethics as well as for the complete mains, I had notes for everything. That too, not very big notes. After completely doing your static part, reading one standard book thrice or reading one source thrice, what I used to do, I used to take notes. That too, very short notes which were very important. So if I wanted to write an answer, I'll just try to flip those 10 pages and understand what needs to be done. Then I'll work on it. So I had those short notes. When the preparation started, the 75 days, the first 10 to 15 days, I devoted on ethics and essay. So that was very important. So I started doing ethics and essay first. When it comes to ethics, I used to divide my notes. The first notes would be for the 7 important topics. The emotional intelligence, the public service, the other topics. So the ethics portion is divided into 7 topics. So for the 7 topics, I had 2 to 3 pages of notes, which important key topics were there. So that was one part. And the next part would be diagrams. I focused on diagrams very much. For this, I used the UPSC and Beyond channel, where sir would post very different topper copies and PDF. In topper copies also, I focused on the UPSC and Beyond, because they analyzed the topper copies and said for which GS, which topper was important. So I did not have I need to go and search. So in that case, the channel helped me. So I used to have a separate page for diagrams. And when I write answers, sometimes I used to draw diagrams by my own. So after completing the answer, I'll take those diagrams and add it in this diagram sheets that I had. And the third thing that I had was ethical term, that I had a separate paper. So in that paper, you will gist out the 50 or more ethical terms that will be there. It can be from religion, it can be from philosophers, such as the golden mean, the Nishkama karma. So all those ethic terms that I had, I used to write it, the slippery slope. And then the terms that we use can be of different types. One can be from the religion, one can be from philosophers, one can be based on the themes. So if it comes from women, then you will write about the glass ceiling, the slippery slope, and the other things. So if it is from environment, then you'll write about environment stewardship. So I had those ethical terms. So what I do when writing the answer is, I'll take those key terms, and wherever it is possible and wherever the question demands, I'll write those ethical key terms. That was for the notes, the diagram, the ethical key terms. And for the examples, what I did not go for more of example compilation. Like many ISS officer, they did this, those, the name of the officer, the work, that kind of examples I did not write. I wrote very general answers, where I had the habit of watching YouTube when I watch a good practice. So for the examples, what I did not follow an officer, what was done. So I did not have too much of compilation of examples. I tried writing general, easy examples, which I see in everyday life, from newspapers, from the YouTube videos that I watch, and from famous personalities. So I had a diverse way of writing the examples. So ethics, we have 2 parts, part A and part B. Part A would be the questions and part B would be the case studies. In questions, I tried using diagrams, and I tried using the ethical keywords, the introduction, conclusion, everything I worked on that. And when it comes to the case studies, in beforehand, I tried having some ethical terms that can be used in the case studies. So as I've already said, the ethical terms that we were having the compilation, I did for the case studies also. So in case you find a case study on environment, those keywords can be used there, which will make the question a bit better. And while doing the case study, I used to read it line by line, And when you find a keyword, I'll just circle it and I'll put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you have 5 to 6 issues, then there's a large question, I'll try to pinpoint in the question there are 5 or 6 issues. So once you start writing the answer, you have already pointed out there are 5 issues. So when writing the answer, what will happen? For each issue, you'll write a solution. So that helped me. To complete the paper in time, these diagrams and the short ethical terms that I had helped me. So I used to write very fast. When I used to write, so I had diagrams. So the diagrams could fill a little more page, and then the ethical key terms would make it more of an ethical answer. So that helped me when doing the ethics. So next would be for the essay. I did not prepare in beforehand for the essay. Only in this attempt, after coming to the Naan Mudhalvan, there I started doing my essay. Initially, my essays were very broken. I used to write para. I never used to connect them, and whatever comes to my mind, I'll start writing. Then what happened? I used to show it to the staff, and they told me how to do the brainstorming. And I had a friend, so he and me, we both used to sit and start the brainstorming. My essays, I kept it very simple. I did not have that much of vocabulary or English, so I used to keep the essays very simple. So for the essay, I did not prepare it in the last 2 attempts. So I had a fear of writing essay. So when I passed the prelims and came for the mains here in the Naan Mudhalvan scheme, then only I started preparing for it. So initially my essays would be very broken. The intro would be separate, and whatever comes to my mind, I start writing the essays. So that was how was it. And later, the staffs and my friends, they taught me how to brainstorm the essay and how to write the essay. So if you take an essay topic, first you will think of an introduction, which can be a story, which can be an anecdote, which can be a real-time incident. So the intro will do. And for the body part, you will go with the W questions, the why, where, how, what. So in that basis, you will try to make your essay, or else you can go for different dimensions, the environment, the economic, the other aspects that you will write an essay. So this is how I did essay. I used to keep my essay very simple. I did not use flowery language or complicated English words and vocabulary. I kept it really simple. I used to write very simple English words as an essay. For the connector parts, I try to maintain the flow of the essay. So when from the starting to the end, the essay needs to have a flow. And the one thing that I did different was I had the habit of writing poems. So in each essay, I will brainstorm in that 1.5 hours that were left. So I used to brainstorm and write a poem. In the exam hall, there will be 4 topics. So the first important thing would be to choose a topic. You take 10 to 15 minutes and try choosing a topic which you can write for around 10 to 12 pages. Don't rush here. Take 10 to 15 minutes. Choose both the topics if can possible early itself. And after that comes the brainstorming part. You will take around another half an hour you can take for brainstorming. You will have a rough sheet in the back. So you will write what anecdote or what intro can I give? What can be the body dimensions that I tend to give? I had the habit of writing an antithesis also. Before the conclusion, I used to write an antithesis for the essay. So that all helped me. And after brainstorming, then you'll start writing within that 45 minutes that is left for an essay. And then you'll go to the second essay, you'll do the brainstorming, and then you'll write. So this approach will reduce your tension and it will make your essay in a structured way. For the essay, what I followed was the UPSC and beyond. It is in the channel, they were open model answers for the essay that I followed. And also essay really essay, there was a course in that there were some basics of the essay that Subham sir taught me. So that also I did. And third would be from the Naan Mudhalvan. Prasanna sir, he used to evaluate my answers, the essay copies, and he used to correct what all needs to be done. And also my friend, we both used to brainstorm the answers. That helped me. When it comes to GS2, we have 4 topics: polity, IR, governance, and social justice. So I will try to explain each topic. First, for the polity. For the polity, we already have some prelims notes. So how this prelim notes will be helpful is for enriching your answer. When you write an answer, you can use those articles. You can use those DPSPs in writing your answers. And also, I tried having a compilation of the case studies, the Supreme Court unique case studies. For polity, the prelims notes will be helpful when you write the mains answers. So the articles that you have studied, you can mention in each answer. And also the important Supreme Court judgments, I had a note of it. Very important judgments, I wrote it, and wherever possible, I tried using it in my answers. So that was the basic thing. And along with it, for important topics, I had notes. For Parliament, what are the articles? What are the cases that has been done? Currently, what is doing? So for the Supreme Court, what? So such kind of half or 1 page notes, I had just the keywords, which I used in writing answers. And as I've already said, for each subject, there is a keyword that needs to be written when you're writing an answer. So when it comes to polity, you need to use the polity keywords, like the articles, like the case studies, like constitutional morality, such kind of words. So the answer makes it more polity oriented. And for the IR, what I did was I had my notes. In the notes, I divided it into each country. So India-US relation, India-China, India-Russia, such important countries, I had 1 or half pager notes. From where I took these notes was from the topper copies. So the toppers, they have already done all the work, and from various sources, they have taken very good keywords, key points and key initiatives. What I used to do in my notes, I just used to take them and jot it down. And for the IR, you need to have, what I did was had the habit of drawing maps when necessary. So if they are going to ask about, I need to mention about the golden crescent or the golden triangle, I had a map in case of writing a relation with the neighbors. So what I did, I tried to draw the world map as well as India map very fast. It will be useful for IR as well as for history, geography and other subjects. And when it comes to governance and social justice, I clubbed it. I took my notes from the Vajiram foundation course. Those notes I referred. And along with it, what I did, I tried to segregate it based on topic wise. This was done based on the PYQ analysis. So in PYQ, if health topic is more important, then I tried prioritizing it, health important, and then I jotted the notes down. So e-governance, separately I had notes. For NGOs, for SHGs. Based on the importance of the topic, I tried figuring the notes. So all of my notes was very much less than 15 pages. So it was around only 10 pages. I used to write in a very small font. The reason is I tried revising it again and again rather than going for a book or going for a bulky notes. That helped me a lot because one, it gave me a confidence that I have revised it multiple times. And second, I had very important points that were needed for answer writing. Because already you have done the static part where you have read a static book, the important book that is needed, you already have the idea. For writing the answer, you need all these stuff. So once if I had the notes, I tried replicating it in my answers. That was the thing that I did. And if I find any good introduction or conclusion, I used to do it. And this year, when I received the GS2 question, it was very, the questions were very long. So the process where we used to write the answers for various general questions helped me in answering the GS2 paper. So you need to do answer writing, which will help you in tackling the questions that are very difficult or very different from what you have read. So for that, you'll need to do the PYQ analysis. Along with it, you need to do answer writing. For answer writing, what I used to do, there were many open platforms that used to give free questions that needs to be answered. So I took their resources like the GS Core, the Vajiram and Ravi. When I was doing answer writing, they used to post questions and we can post our answers for it. They don't evaluate most of the times, but I just needed to write answers. So I wrote my answers and posted it for them. So that can be done. Answer writing will help you a lot in tackling the questions which you don't expect. So out of 20 questions, 13 questions might be doable, but 5 questions you might not be able to answer it. In such cases, you are regularly doing answer writing will help you a lot. Next, for the general studies 1. So we will have 3 important, the history, geography and the social issues. So the social issues part, I was from a sociology optional, but even then I tried doing a separate social issues part. So whoever is having an optional, try to do the GS part separately, because the options for the optional we'll have many specific key terms which cannot be used in the general paper. So for a general paper, you need to write answers which is so general, and we shouldn't try to put our optional answers inside it. So for the social issues, I tried preparing it separately. So there were important topics like globalization, urbanization, Indian society. For those parts, I used to take notes, like 1-page notes. As I've already said, I had very short notes, around 10 pages totally. So what I used to do, I had keywords and I used to take cues from the newspapers. In newspapers, when they are mentioning something, or in Telegram channels when they share something, I used to take note of it. So when it comes to family, you see a word DINK in the newspaper. DINK is dual income with no kids. So when it comes to family, you say there is breaking of family, you will write this in the answer. So you are writing something which is in the current, in a social issue answer, which will enhance and enrich your answer than going for a static general answers. So this I did for the social issues. And for the history part, I tried to rely only on my prelim notes. I did not go for new kind of notes. And the world history part, I just did my PYQ questions. Only from the PYQ topics, I tried analyzing it. And for that, I had a very little idea of how to write. That's all I did. And when it comes to the art and culture part, I did not go for Nitin Singhwan or any other book. I just relied on the 11th Art and Culture NCERT. From that, I took notes and I studied it in detail. Like every word, everything, wherever it is there, I tried doing it in detail. And after analyzing the PYQs, I had some diagrams for the art and culture. So if they're asking for a temple architecture, you need to draw a temple. And so I also had some history maps for it. So when they are going to ask, like, what are the ports? So if I'm going to write an answer, I'm saying that the ports were important, then I'll try to draw an Indian map and try to place the ports. So the answer will look very good. It will look appealing, as well as it will show that you know that answer. So that is what I did in history. I did not go for preparing it more differently for prelims and mains. Whatever I had did for the prelims, I tried revising it and then reciprocated in the mains. That's what I did. And for the geography, same again, I just stick to those two NCERTs. And for geography, I did the India and the world map drawing part, and also some geographical diagrams that needs to be done. So for each topic, those diagrams, I practiced it. For example, when the plates are getting merged or there's a divergent plates, all those diagrams I practiced and that I wrote. And that's how I did for the geography. Other than that, I did not go reading for a separate book. Whatever notes I had, I tried replicating it in the answer rather than going for a different approach. Last, coming to the General Studies 3, this was the last part that I did in the 75 days. Around before, like 15 to 10 days before only, I totally completed the GS3 because it was very fast, very vast. It was very dynamic. So in GS3, you'll have internal security, disaster management, environment, science and tech, and economy. For the disaster management part, I just did the PYQs and I had 1 to 2 pages of notes. In those 2 pages, what I wrote was what was necessary in writing any disaster management question that they are going to ask. Maybe the NDMA guidelines, the Act, the Disaster Management Act, and also the Sendai framework, what all they did in the Sendai framework, and one diagram for the disaster management, the preparedness, that diagrams that needs to be incorporated. Only those important things and some report. So India is in this rank, in this disaster report. So we have this much of landslides. So if they are going to ask any disaster, earthquake, landslide, tsunami, you will have one data point. So what I did was in the intro, I'll write the data point. So we are prone to this much of landslides. So this much of earthquake, or recently we have this much of vulnerability. So in the intro, I used to write that. And in the conclusion, the initiative that we have taken, or that the international body have taken, the Sendai framework, or we have tried to prove the NDMA guidelines. So this is what I did for the disaster management. I did not refer any new book for it because they'll ask 1 or 2 questions, and GS3, we don't know what they'll ask. So I just stick to the basic notes, and whatever is asked, I try to tackle it. And when it came to the internal securities, I did not go again for a bigger book that I could have not read and revised at that time. I just had a 3 to 4 page notes. In 1 page, what I used to do, I had very different diagrams. So the diagram would be like having a map and locating the vulnerability, the border areas, and some data where we say the left-wing extremism, how it is getting reduced, such data, and some Operation Black Forest, All those things I had in one page. And in the next page, for the internal security, there were some important topics that gets repeated. Once if you see the PYQ and analyze it, you will know it. So it can be the left-wing extremism, the terrorism, the internal insurgency, the northeast insurgency, all those 5 to 6 important topics, whatever were there, I tried just writing small notes. So what were the government initiatives? Why is the problem happening? If in current and something is happening, or in current affairs, if some initiative or something has been taken, only that much I wrote. And if an answer comes with these, I was able to tackle it. So for the internal security part, that's what I did. And for the economics part, I did the PYQ analysis. So here in the non-Mudhalvan, the Adil sir, economics faculty, he tried to analyze the PYQs. So he explained for each topic what is important, which question is important. So from that, what I did, I prioritized which topic is getting more frequently repeated. I had notes for it. Along with that, for economics, environment and science and tech, I relied on the mains 365 compilation that was given by UPSC and beyond Subham sir. So that was very short and it was easy for me to, from that, to take notes and revise it. So the economics, I took those topics, and for that topics, I just wrote down what are the schemes that the government has taken, or some data, like what is female labor force participation, or for any scheme, what are the things that are happening and how is it happening, or some international report by the WHO, by other things. So such kind of things I had for the economics. And for the environment and science and tech, I was having very minimal, only the mains 365 part, whichever the compilation I had, only those topics I did. But in the exam, they asked very general questions. For that to tackle, I did the answer writing. That only helped me, because they did not ask anything of whatever current affairs I studied. It was some completely different. So they asked how you use agriculture and drone technology. So I relied on what I was preparing. So the mains answer writing only helped me here, other than the notes that I had. So whatever I did for the prelims, whatever the answer writing that I did, with that only I was being able to tackle the environment and the science and tech part, rather than reflecting on what I had the notes. That helped. When I started preparing in 2022, I had a plan that I'll go to Delhi, because at that time there were not so much of online institutions that were available, or I was not aware of the non-Mudhalvan scheme that was happening. So I planned, I went in Delhi in 2022. I did my GS coaching in Vajiram and Ravi. After a year, the expenses were very high and I had many health issues. I had breathing issues, and then the food was not proper, and I did not know the language. So it was very difficult. So aspirants, if you wanted to go to Delhi, then you should think about all these aspects before planning to Delhi. And then later, due to my health condition, I was not able to do the second attempt very well. So it took 2 months of mine before giving the prelims. So I was not able to give that prelims well. And this third attempt, I came back home and again I started preparing. And then after completing the prelims, I came to know about the Non-Mudhalvan scheme, which is a free government initiative, where if you pass prelims, they'll give you stipend, accommodation and also coaching. And then I did my coaching here in Non-Mudhalvan for the mains and for the interview. For the aspirants who are preparing for the UPSC, my advice would be, it is a very long journey where you are going to put years and years of your preparation. So you need to focus, you need to focus on being yourself and stay happy, so that you're in the process, you're going to get better. So don't strain yourself. Try to put your hard work, and the outcome and the result will come for sure. So work hard, and always remember that PYQ is the ultimate guide, the holy book that will help you in understanding the UPSC. Because we can write so many of test series, but they try to replicate it. The PYQs are the original thing that have already been done. So try sticking to the PYQs. And as I've already said, the 4R approach, where you will read, recall, revise and repeat. Don't forget it. The revision, it will do wonders. The recalling will do wonders, because you will try to brainstorm it. So try to stick to that. Try sticking to the basics. Don't go for multiple resources. And for the PYQ analysis, I'll share my notes as well as my PYQ notes that I had. I'll share in the Telegram group. Thank you.